started. It is 6:01, and I do declare that we do have a board quorum present. If you will please stand for our invocation, which will be led by Mr. Joe Reinhardt, and then our pledges of allegiance, which will be led by the Lanier Elementary students.
Join me in prayer, please. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity for us to gather to honor students, honor their families for what they've accomplished in this great school year. There are a lot of trying times, but we're moving forward, and our kids are getting educated, and they're doing it the right way. We ask now that you bless each family that's here, bless this board as we make decisions that will fulfill our requirements for next year. Let us move forward. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Superintendent Massey, our board members, staff, parents, and our guests. Tonight is truly a wonderful night. We have many students to celebrate and many accomplishments. And I just want to tell you, this is one of the most exciting things to do, is to celebrate our young people who have achieved and who have worked hard, and they've shown such dedication, and they could not have done a lot of this without the support of their parents. So thank you so very much, very much. At this time, I would like to bring up our Deputy Superintendent, Rita Cundiff.
Good evening. What a special night. Tonight we celebrate all things library, and to kick it off, we will have our Name That Book winners. The annual Name That Book competition took place on April 4th and 5th. All elementary, middle, and intermediate schools had participating teams. There are divisions for K through 2nd, 3rd and 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and 8th. Each team reads books from the Great Texas Mosquito List, award list developed by our BISD librarians for their appropriate grade level, and these books are used for the competition. During the competition, each team is given a clue from one of the books, and they have to name that book. We are so very proud of every student that participated in the 2024 Name That Book competition. Tonight, we recognize our first place winners. Our K through 2nd grade team, first place, Roberts Elementary. We have Kian Tubig, Isabella Fernandez, Mabry Matthews, Madeline Stowers, Skylar Mack, Paxton Wigg, Olivia Lanham, and their sponsors, Miss Lindsay Carter and Amanda Crossler. Congratulations.
Not often that happens.
All right, here we go. Looking here, yes you are. I'll count to 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2,
and fourth graders. Our first place are from Griffith Elementary. Isabel Cassett, Russell Dome, Mia Rios Salinas, Ainsley Warren, Damian Martinez, Aria De Leon, Kayla Rodriguez, Alexa Cruz Vargas, and their sponsors, Miss Wendy Berg and Tana Bird. Bird, please join us.
One, two, three. There we go. Nobody's been fighting behind me on this.
Oh, wait.
Our fifth and sixth grade team that had a perfect score is from Rasco Middle School. Bryn Grantham, Romeo Poole, Lillian Daniels, Elise Steinberger, Avery Montine, Olivia Flores, and their sponsor, Ms. Leanne Coos.
Come on.
And from Lake Jackson Intermediate, we have Claire Athan, Cooper Dane, Ella Lindsay, and Callie Hipp, and their sponsor, Liz Fambro and Elise Hernandez. Congratulations.
To recognize our next students will be our Executive Director of Fine Arts, CTE, and as well as our foundation. Ms. Jessie?
Good evening. Last April, 3 Brazoswood High School yearbook staff members, along with their advisor, attended the National High School Journalism Convention in Kansas City, where they presented to students from all over the country as well as presented in national-level competitions. Senior Ava Garza was accepted to lead a session titled, What's Wrong with Being Confident? In her session, she discussed her various roles in journalism that she has landed since becoming a yearbook editor. Ava has been a national ambassador for Brazoswood Yearbook Publishing Company, a sideline reporter for BYPE Houston, and has worked closely with some friends she has made along the way at KHO Youth Houston. While at the convention, the students also participated in a variety of competitions, bringing home 2 national titles to add to a long list of awards they've already received this year. Sophomore and first-year staff member Kate Morris received a ratings of excellence on her photo submission in the first-year photography category. Ava also received an honorable mention for her sports action portfolio. These accolades were selected from almost 450 photo entries, with only 16 receiving the excellence placement 36 receiving the honorable mention title. Their participation, presentations, and triumphs, including 2 national titles, not only highlight their current talents, but also offers a glimpse of the promising futures they have ahead in the field of journalism. Here with us tonight are Brazos Wood Journalism Advisor Leila Siegel and journalism students Ava Garza, Kate Morris, and Harper Nichols. Congratulations.
Congratulations, great job. Proud of you.
Congratulations.
Good job. I knew that was awesome. Congratulations. That's for all you did. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. Got one in the bag.
Our next recognition is very important, very significant indeed, and our Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Jay Whitehead, will present this.
Thank you. Brazos Wood High School senior Maddie White has attended every school board meeting this year. She has an interest in governmental affairs and is committed to learning more about school governance. Maddie has been an exceptional student during her time in Brazosport ISD. She has completed 41 dual credit hours and has a grade point average of 3.87. She has also served as a student body secretary, president of the National Honor Society, vice president of the Health Occupation Students of America, or HOSA, and is a peer assistance leader. Maddie plans to attend Tarleton State University in the fall. Please join me in celebrating Maddie White tonight for receiving the Extra Mile Award.
Maddie is the only student to ever receive an Extra Mile Award from the Board of Trustees. So Maddie, you're a first and an original for sure. Our next few recognitions will again be our Deputy Superintendent, Rita Condon.
Okay. Tonight, it is a privilege and an honor to recognize 2 representatives here on behalf of Janice Eubank Reading Program for First Graders Extra Mile Award. If I could please ask Ms. Linda Miles and Janet Gibson to join Mr. Massey in the front, please. Janice Eubank lost her battle with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, in March 2007. She taught in BISD for the final 24 years of her 35-year career. Her passion was teaching children, and her dream was that every student in first grade would have a special gift at the end of the school year, and that people would come and read to them. Janice's Storybook Summer, which is now in its 14th year, is a memorial to her, with the main goals being to impact literacy and to encourage the love of reading, 2 goals Janice strongly supported. Tonight, we want to recognize Linda Miles and Janet Gibson for their dedication to keeping Janice's dream alive. Thank you.
Thank you.
award that we want to recognize tonight is the Natalie Woolsey Toy Drive that supports our Natalie Woolsey Book Fair. The Natalie Woolsey Toy Drive is a 501c3 charitable organization that was founded in honor of Natalie Woolsey, a kind-hearted and compassionate BISD alumni who had a deep passion for helping others. In 2003, Natalie initiated a toy drive in her community to provide toys and other necessities to children in need. Her generosity and selflessness inspired others to join in her efforts, and even after her passing in 2004, the toy drive continued to grow and make a positive impact on the lives of countless children. The original mission of the Natalie Woolsey Toy Drive was to spread joy and happiness to children in the local community by providing them with toys and other necessities during the holiday season. However, over the years, the organization has expanded its efforts to include free book fairs for students in all elementary schools. For the last several years, they have sponsored a book fair at the end of the year that provides a free book to every student at every elementary school in BISD. Each year, they donate about 5,000 books to students. Tonight, we want to recognize Amanda Mullen, Josie LaChance, and Carol Weathers for their dedication to carrying on Natalie's legacy.
Thank you. Good job. Good job. Good job. How you doing? Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
And now we will have Ms. Jennifer Naser, Executive Director of HR. She's coming up.
Good evening. I am going to be presenting our Spotlight Educator Award. The purpose of our BISD Educator Spotlight Award is to recognize outstanding teachers across our district. These are teachers who go above and beyond not only for our students, but their coworkers as well. When I call your name, if you could please come up and stand by Mr. Massey. First up, we have Alexandria Waldrop from Lake Jackson Intermediate. She is a 7th grade history teacher. Mrs. Waldrop's an excellent leader in the classroom, and her character is impeccable. She led the charge in creating a new color guard program for LJI for the 24-25 school year. She's collaborating with Rasco and Brazoswood to create the best program at LJI. She's organized, persistent in achieving her goals. She develops genuine relationships with her colleagues and students and is always willing to assist others. Her love for history is contagious, and her students adore her. Her peers state Ms. Waldrop is patient and kind with everyone, students and coworkers. She's always smiling and radiating positive energy. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Up next, we have Ms. Shantavia McCullough from Beth Brandon Elementary. She is a 2nd grade ELA teacher. Do you want to come up? Ms. McCullough demonstrates professionalism at all times. She's collaborative and brings a positive atmosphere to Brandon. She can always be found helping students and staff. She takes initiative and steps up to any challenge with a great attitude. Mrs. McCullough has a quiet and comforting demeanor, but is dynamite in the classroom. Her peers state she's nurturing and caring towards her students and is also attuned to her students' needs and what each student needs to grow academically. She's an example of caring for the whole student's well-being. Thank you both for serving BISD.
Thank
Thank
you.
y'all.
And for our final award, I would like to ask the lovely ladies in the back to please stand up and get ready to come up. All the librarians, yes, it's you. Wait, over there, by Mr. Matthews. And Ms. Cundiff is coming back up to do the presentation.
Okay, this month, we want to recognize our Brazosport ISD librarians for their outstanding work. They are champions for literacy and have worked hard to ensure students have a love for reading, and through that have increased circulation of books on each of their campuses. Elementary campuses increased circulation by 11% and secondary by 19%, and recorded 2,449,894 minutes of reading that was logged. We want to specifically highlight Boydell SFA and Aug Elementary for their highest increases, and Beeport, Bewood, and Rasco at the secondary level for the highest increases. It's no wonder that they are the recipients of the Brazosport ISD Setting the Standard Award for going above and beyond to provide literacy experiences to students outside of their libraries and throughout the community. Through their summer reading program, they have circulated more than 2,000 books each summer, as well as provided story time at special events. A special thank you to Liz Fambro, our lead librarian, for supporting our new librarians and servicing 2 campuses, Brazoswood and LJI, over 3,500 students, and also being the fearless leader to this amazing group. Thanks again to our outstanding librarians for facilitating Name That Book competition, all of the great campus-based reading incentives such as Reading Team, Books for Babies, Teen Book Con, Classroom Book a Day, all while providing daily lessons and helping students with research, digital citizenship, and connecting our community with books. We're also proud to announce our summer reading, Be a Summer Reader, that will be available through our book bus. Speaking of our book bus, be on the lookout for our unique Library on Wheels, provided in part by a generous donation from our Education Foundation and converted largely by our CTE students. We welcome you to stop in and visit Storytime as the bus makes its rounds through the community. Again, thank you to all of our wonderful team of librarians and their staff for their outstanding efforts. From Brazoswood and LJI, Ms. Liz Fambro. From serving 2 campuses as well, Freeport Intermediate and Brazosport, Susan Williams. Rasco, Leanne Coon. Griffith, Wendy Berg. Freeport Elementary, Jennifer Sheets. Boyle, Suzanne Brooks. Robert, Brandy Rowland. Bronwyn Rumsey. Holt, Mandy Lauer, and Clute Nene Peters. Thank you so much.
Good job. Yeah, good year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
I'm worried.
Board members, we all fill in the gap. Yep. Thank you, Mr.
All right. Oh, that's great. Right here. 1, 2, 3. Another. 1, 2, 3.
Wait. Well, this does in fact conclude tonight's recognitions and concludes recognitions for Ms. Crispin. Ms. Crispin's out.
accordance with BED local, the board will provide an audience with individuals who have signed up prior to the meeting to address the board. Tonight, we do not have any one sign up to address the board, so we'll move on to our next agenda item. Our first agenda item is our consent agenda. Are there any items that are requested to be pulled from our consent agenda? And we will also allow public comments from individuals signed up prior to the meeting, including our consent agendas before we vote. But are there any items to be pulled from the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right. It has been moved by Mr. Atkins and seconded by Mr. Dunn to approve the consent agenda as presented. Are there any comments from the audience before we vote? All right. Hearing none then, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed by nay. All right. The consent agenda passes. Thank you. Next item that we have are our action items. Again, public comments will be allowed before the vote is taken on each action item. Our first item tonight is the canvass of the May 4th, 2024 trustee election. Ms. Rebecca Kelly will be presenting. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. In alignment with Section 67.003 and 67.004 of the Texas Election Code and Section BBB of the Board of Trustees Legal Policy, it is my pleasure to present the final results from the May 4th, 2024 trustee election. The Board of Trustees approved a joint election with Brazoria County for the purpose of electing 3 board positions that were up for re-election. The board ordered an election for single-member districts 1, 2, and 3. The board was able to cancel the election for single-member district 1 as the current board member, Joe Reinhardt, did not draw an opponent. For single-member district 2, we had 2 applications for a place on the ballot that were filed. Current board member Jerry Atkins and community member Claudette Tuggle. Single-member District 3 also had 2 applications, current board member Ms. Patty Stace and community member Tiffany Koenig. The election was held May 4th. The official tabulation has been provided by Brazoria County. For single-member District 2, a total of 123 voters cast their ballots in this election, with Mr. Atkins receiving 71 out of the 123 votes. For single-member District 3, a total of 225 voters cast their ballots, with Ms. Fays receiving 136 out of the 225 votes, with Mr. Atkins receiving 57.72% of the total votes for single-member District 2, and Ms. Fays receiving 60.44% of the total votes for single-member District 3. Tonight, the board needs to take action to canvass the final results and declare the elected candidates, Mr. Jerry Atkins and Ms. Patty Staves, to the Board of Trustees representing single-member Districts 2 and 3, respectively. So at this time, the administration recommends that the Board of Trustees vote to canvass the May 4th, 2024 trustee elections and declare that the elected candidates, Mr. Jerry Atkins, to the board position representing single-member District 2 and Ms. Patty Staves to the Board of Trustees representing single-member District 3, and that the President be authorized to prepare a certificate of election for the elected candidates and execute the election return document. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Any comments from the audience before we vote? All right. We have a recommendation from the administration. Do I have
I'd like to make a motion to canvass the elections for May 4th that Mr. Jerry Atkins for District 2 and Ms. Patty Stace for District 3, both elected, and authorize and prepare a certificate of election to the elected candidates and execute the election return documents.
It's been moved by Mr. Swartner and seconded by Ms. Cuellar. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Next item that we have on our action items is the employee compensation plan for the 2025, and it's Jennifer Neighbors to present.
Good evening. Aligned with Brazosport ISD's goal that we will recruit, retain, and develop highly effective staff, I'll be presenting the proposed employee compensation plan and general pay increase for the 24-25 assignment year. BISD completed a market analysis utilizing the TASB resources to conduct an annual maintenance review of the district's compensation plan. The purpose of this review is to evaluate market value of existing positions and align accordingly to allow for increased quality, recruitment, and retention. This is a look at our market districts, and there are 12 comparisons on this slide for enrollment. For the 23-24 school year, we have the largest groups of teachers in the 1 to 5 year of experience range and 6 to 10 year of experience range. The average years of experience for a BISD teacher is 12 years. Before we move into the market comparisons, we wanted to take a look at the historical trend for compensation increases over the last 9 years. The green line shows where we were in 2015-16 when we implemented a 3% increase. For 5 years, we implemented a 3% increase. The orange line shows the district teacher pay matrix once we implemented the 2019 23% increase. The blue line shows the work that was done and approved in October of 2023 with the implementation of an on average 2.5% increase for the 23-24 assignment year. The line is straightening out where we had dips, and you can see the steady increase over the years. Our market comparison for the 23-24 school year shows we start our teachers above market, align at year 5, and then we're slightly below market at years 10, 15, and 20. The October 2023 increase dip did help close those gaps some, and we always understand that the market may move. For the 23-24 market data, BISD is at 97.4% of market median for teacher pay. As shown on the line graph before, we're above market for 0-year teachers, aligned at year 5, and slightly below the market median at years 10, 15, and 20. When we look at the region and district compared to the state, both our district and region are significantly above state minimums for teacher pay in Texas. We strive to stay above market with our stipends in high-need, hard-to-staff areas, which include secondary math and science, special education, and in our bilingual classrooms. During the April board meeting, we presented and asked the board to consider adopting a general pay increase to maintain market position. The following 4 models were presented: 3% GPI, 2.5% GPI, a 2% GPI, and a 0 GPI, but with a step increase for teachers. Model 1 shows the 3% GPI, which would bring the district above the current market as the market stands right now. BISD is the blue line, market median is the orange line, and the green line is with a 3% general pay increase. The cost for the 3% general pay increase is $3,012,722. Model 2 shows the 2.5% GPI, which would bring the district above the current market as the market stands right now. BISD is the blue line, market median is the orange line, and the green line is with a 2.5% GPI increase. And the cost of Model 2 would be $2,519,058. And then Model 3 shows the 2% GPI, which would bring the district above the current market or align with the current market as the market stands right now. BISD is the blue line, market median is the orange line, and the green line is with a 2% GPI. The cost of Model 3 would be $2,017,374. And then the cost of Model 4 would not be a GPI increase, but only a teacher pay matrix step, and that would cost $314,815. We have a fifth model as an additional consideration for the board. Model 5 includes a one-time pay increase to be implemented for all active employees who have been actively employed for a minimum of 90 days and a teacher step increase. Eligible employees would receive a 3% one-time payment for the 24-25 contract year calculated based on pay grade midpoint. The one-time pay increase will be paid on the employee's first paycheck of the 24-25 assignment year. The one-time payment is considered TRS eligible compensation and will be prorated proportionately if an employee should leave before the end of their 24-25 assignment year. The cost of Model 5 would be $3,316,897. Brazosport ISD Administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the compensation plan and one-time pay increase calculated at 3% of midpoint for employees who have been employed for a minimum of 90 days, payable on the first paycheck of the employee's 24-25 assignment year, and will be prorated if the employees separate prior to the assignment end date as presented. Additionally, all teachers will receive a step increase for the 24-25 contract year in alignment with the teacher pay matrix. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
My biggest comment is I want to be sure that the third bullet was that we stick by that one, where the payment is considered TRS eligible. That's more important than anything we have here.
It will be.
And so I think that's got to be there.
It is.
How has that changed? We've been doing this for a pretty good while now, and I don't remember ever doing a one-time bid qualifying for TRS. So is there something changed, or we're doing it a different way? What's the explanation for that?
Okay. So in order for it to be TRS eligible, it has to be earned and accrued proportionate to the days that they work. And so we did provide one several years back that was eligible, and what happens is if they leave, we have to prorate it and withhold any amount that we had paid them by paying it up front from their last paycheck. The ESSER one-time payments that we provided were retention and not eligible, specifically excluded from TRS's eligible compensation.
So anyone that takes this and retires or leaves at Christmas or gets sick and
would have to pay a
would have to pay
portion
back
of
a portion of
it
that. Okay. Right, makes sense. And then it won't roll forward to our next year's budget, I guess, is the bigger.
That's the most positive.
Only the step increase.
But, on slide 7, which is the comparison for the Region 4, is that all the districts in Region 4 or just the market districts?
That should be all the districts in Region 4, which is about 48 districts, and then there was one for our market, which included those 12.
Oh,
But this
that's my
one
favorite
is for Region 4, all districts.
The other one is my favorite. We can't catch up. Well, I'm a little surprised that that's all Region 4, but that's good. I thought we would be a little lower. Like Scott said, the 3% one-time payment is good for our budget, but it will put us farther behind on my favorite slide. So we just have to recognize that next year, so we're going to be behind before we start. But this does give our teachers the 3%. And we can afford it this year?
So we're obviously in a deficit position, as we make reductions to balance spending with available revenues. This one-time increase will come from fund balance, and further, I guess, increase the deficit that we do adopt. Or we'll have to take it from the budgeted contingencies that we have in there, and so we will decide as we move further along in the budget adoption process how we're going to balance it. But yes, we currently have sufficient fund balance to cover the one-time compensation increase.
Not the easy fifth option, I assume you guys put a lot of thought into it and got input, and people like that, but it's 3% rather than 2 or 1, and it just doesn't continue, so, I'm sure all our employees will know that, but that has to be stressed, so.
Yes, that will be communicated.
Might be a little optimistic, but something's gotta happen at the state level.
Yeah,
And
we're optimistic.
Well, I mean, to think we're in a lot better shape than most districts, and it's all gonna, but it's, you know, the voters that got to make the noise and scream and shout, and,
Problem is, we're still 18 months away unless they do some type of
Yeah.
special session, which I don't see a special session.
Yeah, didn't sound like it in the governor's response, they're like, heck no, get out of here.
Yeah.
Well, I said last year I didn't think you'd get done, and I'm afraid I'm in the same boat this year. I think this is gonna be too much controversy, but, we'll see. Yes, we should, but we'll fall back on our budgeting whiz to make sure that we.
Running out of magic.
Not much magic there.
Got it all done. Nothing up the sleeve anymore.
Running out.
All right, any other comments from the audience? Before we vote, all right, we do have a recommendation, from the administration. Do I hear a motion?
That's just.
I'll make a motion to approve as read, one-time 3% compensation.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Dunn. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Atkins. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. All right.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Our next action item is the proclamation of the 2024 instructional materials allotment, adoption, and selections. Mr. Brian Cole.
Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy EHA Legal, it is my pleasure to present the following information on adoptions for instructional materials this evening. The Texas Education Agency releases funds for textbooks and digital resources every 2 years. Allotments are based upon student enrollment, and BISD has approximately $1.8 million of the allotment remaining to cover adoptions for the 24-25 school year. We did allocate approximately $1.45 million at the last board meeting. Allotments are utilized for new resources, renewals, annual subscription fees, and adoption cycles are referred to as proclamations. The most recent proclamation includes the science courses, which are implementing new standards next year. These materials were presented the last month, along with most annual renewals in the amount of approximately $1.4 million. Tonight, the remaining materials for the 2024 proclamation will be presented. These include social studies, personal financial literacy, technology applications, and CTE courses in health science and education, along with the text for AP pre-calculus and a renewal for accelerated reader. The adoption process begins in September and continues through the beginning of next school year, when we will begin using the newly adopted materials. Materials from the state's adopted list and provided feedback, teams of teachers and our district content coordinators reviewed sample materials from the state's adopted list and provided feedback. Quotes were obtained and evaluated alongside feedback with teachers and coordinators. In addition to providing viewing opportunities in our district, the state had sample materials available online for any and all to review. The next step in our process this evening is the proposed adoption at tonight's board meeting. Here are the items up for adoption. In technology applications, our vendor is learning.com in the amount of $56,250. For personal financial literacy and economics, Ramsey Education in the amount of $14,744.96. In our education pathway, which include principles, human growth and development, instructional practices, and practicum of education, the vendor is Goodhart Wilcox at the amount of $18,248.40. health science. For principles of health science theory, and the practicum of health science, the vendor is Goodhart Wilcox in the amount of $55,033.20. In medical microbiology, we have Cengage, $2,475. For pathophysiology, also Cengage, in the amount of $6,831. For dental assistants, we have Elsevier in the amount of $49.47. For pharmacy technician, also Elsevier, in the amount of $7,939.33. For many of our industry-based certification supports, we have Hartman Publishing with phlebotomy, EKG, pharmacy care technician, certified medical assistant in the amount of $14,780.58. We also, this evening, have up for adoption our pre-calculus AP book with Savas in the amount of $17,000. This is being recommended as we adopted AP pre-calculus last school year. College Board indicated that AP pre-calculus would be able to work with the existing texts. However, our teachers indicated otherwise, so we want to be sure that we're supporting pre-calculus AP. We also have a renewal for Accelerated Reader in the amount of $41,000 this evening. It is the recommendation that the administration of that the Board of Trustees move to approve the purchase of the new instructional materials in the amount of $238,351.94 as presented tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions from the board?
Brian, are the resources ordered based on projected enrollment, or do we buy a certain number and along the way, or is it projected on enrollment?
Yes, sir. It's projected on enrollment. We actually have a 5-year enrollment history and are able to kind of see trends to see if things are growing or declining and base it off of those. In addition, we purchase when they're available and affordable, are able to purchase class sets in addition to online licenses, and then normally online licenses can be added. We'll have, after this is approved, we'll have a little over $60,000 remaining in the IMA fund before additional is allocated that can be used for additional licenses if needed in various areas.
Thank you.
Exciting, we're introducing our kids to Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Backing up on would you hit me one more time on the pre-calculus?
Yes, sir. On pre-calculus.
Where's the AP?
Yes, sir. This is advanced placement. So pre-calculus advanced placement was a brand new course last school year, or this current school year. The College Board indicated you can use any existing pre-calculus textbook with it. However, we have some excellent veteran teachers who we have visited with and indicated that the on-level textbook that we have does not actually rise to the level of rigor that's expected within the standards of the College Board for Advanced Placement. And they were looking for multiple different resources to help fill the gaps, and ultimately we arrived on a textbook that's designed for AP would be the best option, most affordable.
And the Accelerated Reader, what grade level is that?
So that generally supports mostly elementary, but it goes K through 8, and some of our high schools use it occasionally, but the primary is that the elementary use it for a library incentive program for students to be able to take tests and earn points and get rewarded. Yes, sir.
Apparently that's what they were using this year.
Right. Yes, sir.
Any other comments, questions from the board? Mr. Cole? From the audience? All right. We do have a recommendation from the administration that we approve the purchase of instructional materials for the amount presented. Do I hear a motion? Moved by Ms. Patty Sayes, seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. All right.
Thank you.
Keep on going for another year. Next item that we have under our action items are the instructional materials allotment and Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, also known as the TEACS certification. Mr. Cole.
Excellent. Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy EFA Legal, it is my pleasure to present the following information regarding TEACS certification to the Board. Now that we've adopted our instructional materials, now we get to certify that we have them. I would like to start by thanking Lindsay Blackstock for all of her help on the instructional materials adoption. So, as we move on, in accordance with Texas Education Code 3104, school districts are required to certify annually to the State Board of Education that the Commissioner that for each subject in the required curriculum, other than physical education, students have access to instructional materials that cover all the Texas essential knowledge and skills. The certification must be ratified by the district's Board of Trustees or governing body in an open public notice meeting. Instructional materials have previously been presented and approved by the Board of Trustees this year from the instructional materials allotment. The resources still in use need to be certified and the certification submitted to the Texas Education Agency. The administration recommends that the Board of Trustees ratify that each subject in the required curriculum meets the certification requirements and students have access to the instructional materials that cover all the Texas essential knowledge and skills. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the Board? From the audience? All right, we do have a recommendation from the administration. Do I hear a motion? So moved by Mr. Reinhardt. Do I hear a second? Second by Ms. Cuellar. Speech to it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. All right, that carries as well. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Nicole.
Good stuff, thank you.
Next item that we have on our agenda are our reports. We have a bond planning and construction update. Ms. Kelly.
It's my pleasure to present the update on the 2019 bond program this evening. Financial update, as of May 17th, 2024, we have total POs issued that total $253.3 million, which is 86.96% of the $291 million that we had approved for the 2019 projects. And so here on this slide is a list of all of the current projects related to the 2014 bond program. Brazosport High School CTE, the front addition, the back shop addition, the interior renovations and the demolition of some of the current spaces is still on progress to open in August of this school year. And so I've got some pictures of that progress shortly for you from Mr. Jernay and Taylor. And then also this summer, we have our maintenance department that will be coordinating some of the 2019 projects at Polk Elementary. We have ceiling tile and LED lighting replacement. We are going to replace the bathroom floors in the classroom bathrooms. And then we're going to replace exterior doors to meet the current safety standards. And then also this summer, Griffith Elementary will receive new classroom furniture, and maintenance will also be facilitating their flooring replacement in the hallways, the corridors, and in the classrooms. And then at Stephen F. Austin Elementary, we will replace some exterior doors also to meet the current safety standards. And then over at Rasco Middle School, there's an obsolete cold water storage tank that we had funding to demolish, and so maintenance will oversee that project. We are also in the process this summer of moving Brazos Success Academy over to the NAY facility. And so I just wanted to point out that in the 2019 bond program for BSA, we had about $1.4 million allocated that is still remaining, and we will need to demo that existing building, but it won't take the $1.4 million. So we will have some funds remaining there for reallocation. And then at NAY, the 2019 bond program had to turn that into a NAY pre-K center to house our full-day pre-K program for the Lake Jackson feeder pattern We now have plenty of capacity. As you all know, we moved the pre-K students from Lake Jackson back into their home campuses that are all brand new. And so there is $1.8 million still remaining for that facility as well. We will need to demo the old wing, the original wing, which will require some, HVAC reconfiguration and maybe a front entry reconfiguration. And so we have between 1.4 and 1.8 available that we will need to consider reallocating at some point. And then at Brazos Wood High School, the 9th grade center will receive new furniture for all the classrooms. And then all other projects for that campus have been completed. I'm estimating we still have some closeout and punch list items to take care of this summer, but I am anticipating that we will have about $5 million remaining once we complete all of that. And then, as you know, we have since come across some problems, some structure issues with the current natatorium there, and so it's currently closed and we're evaluating a path forward. And then the maintenance facility, we have about $9 million in construction that's available to address the maintenance facility. We have completed the preliminary design on that. However, it's coming in over budget, and so we're going to go back to the drawing board on that project. Next month, what I will provide will be a reconciliation of all of the funding by campus, so kind of what was in the bond by each campus, what's all been completed, and how much is still remaining. And then we'll also be presenting with BLK Architects the facility assessment report for the current facilities that we have, and then administration has been planning for their capital needs, so technology, transported buses, those types of things, beyond the 2019 bond program, because that bond program included funding to get us through the capital items that we needed for this school year. And so we have been working to identify what those gaps are going to be, and we'll present that along with the facility assessment information conducted by BLK next month. And then we're also in the process of evaluating the cost to make the necessary repairs to reopen the pool at Brazos Wood High School. And then we're also evaluating the cost for a new build of some sort. And so we'll have some updated information for you to consider about the pool, and then we'll bring you the facility options for maintenance. And so these are the pictures. This is the rendering of the Brazos Port High School CTE front edition, and you'll see a picture in a minute. Looks pretty accurate. So this is the kind of the phasing plan. The areas in green were completed last summer. Those were renovations to the existing space. The blue is the back addition of the shop, and then the front addition of cosmetology and vet tech. Those are on schedule to open in August. And then the yellow are the renovations that will happen this summer. And then the red, once we move out of that back shop building into their new back shop, we will be able to demolish that section probably late August, early fall. And so this is the actual rendering of the front. You can see that the CTE major giving sponsor logos are going up, and then that's just another picture of it. Here's a closer look at the front entry vestibule of the front addition. And when you enter that space, you're looking into what will be the vet tech and floral design lab. And then this is once you enter the secure vestibule doors, this is the main corridor. To the left, you'll see the wall for the CTE major giving logos to go, and in the far back, that wooden wall will open up into the existing corridor of the main campus. On the other side of that is the culinary lab. This is just a closer look of the wall for the sponsors. This is inside the cosmetology lab. You could do, it is ready for furniture and equipment to be installed. Another angle of that cosmetology lab. And these are the lockers for the cosmetology space. And then this is just another look of the front corridor looking back towards the front doors. This is inside the vet tech and floral design lab. Again, ready for equipment and furniture to be installed. And this is another angle of that. You can see here, this is that same lab space, but the floral design view of the existing site. You can see the front addition, the back addition, the drive has been connected. This is a closer look of the shop addition. Just another angle, you can see where it attaches to the current building. The walkways have been completed. This is inside the ag mech shop. You can see the welding booths are being installed. Just another angle, this is actually the welding shop. Another view of the welding shop. We've actually started to move over some of the furniture from the current welding shop that's going to be demolished. We need to go ahead and get out of that, and then one of them will have significant renovations, and so they're actually in the process of moving some of their current equipment that will be moved over now. And then this is the inside of the corridor for the shop buildings that enter the classroom spaces. And I will be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
I'm a little concerned. I noticed that, where I went to first and second grade and fourth and fifth and sixth grade are on this demolishing list here. I'm gonna look into this because I'm not sure that needs to quite be done yet. We need to maybe memorialize those buildings for some reason.
I mean, you get old.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not getting there. I just haven't got there. It's gonna be kind of a sad day. I really did. Went to first and second grade, then third grade. I guess they thought our third grade group was kind of strange because we went to a church. We had third grade in church, so they thought we were a little different, I guess.
If it makes you feel any better, my elementary school was already torn down about 6 years ago, so.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I wasn't sad to see Ogden because it was in terrible shape.
Yeah.
But anyway, I did talk to a first-year welding teacher about the move. It was assistant baseball coach or somebody down in Bradsport. He said, we're gonna have to shut down a little early to move, but it's okay because we got the new facility. He was disappointed he couldn't teach them more welding, but he was happy that they had the new facilities. I thought that was kind of interesting from that standpoint.
Any other comments from the board? Audience? All right. Thank you, ma'am. Next item that we have is our 2025 budget planning update. The constable, Ms. Kelly.
All right, so it is my pleasure to present an update on the 2025 budget development process. This will be relatively short. So you have a detailed budget assumption handout that's been placed at your table. The changes from last month to this month have been highlighted in yellow, so you can easily reference those. Presented here on the screen is a summary of the reductions on the left-hand side that as of today total $3,436,163. And you can see the progress that we've made since mid-March, to today in terms of making and identifying additional reductions that do have the least amount of impact on student achievement.
Correct number on coaching?
That is correct. So that's the stipend portion only, because they fill teacher positions. Yeah, so that is stipend. And then we have additional expenditures that we've identified. The 2024 general pay increase that the board approved in October, we have to sustain. The step increase that was part of the compensation package approved this evening that we will have to sustain is $314,000. And then the other things that we previously discussed brings the additional expenditures to $4.6 million. Plus, we have the one-time 3% general pay increase, which is just over $3 million. So total additions plus the one-time cost of the raise would be $7.6 million. That is factored into the projections that you have on the budget assumptions handout. And so when you kind of scroll, or if you flip to the back of your budget assumption, this is a kind of a snapshot of kind of where we land. And so based on those assumptions, the additions and then the reductions, on paper, and we would have a budgeted deficit of $13.4 million. That does include the compensation, the one-time compensation increases. So we we do have an option to, reduce budgeted contingencies or use those contingencies to cover the one-time compensation. But right now, as it stands, the actual deficit would be $10.4 million. The projected fund balance that we would have in excess of the TEA optimum, based on how I still project we will end the current year, is $10.1 million. So at this point, the on-paper and the actual projected deficit would be in excess of what we have available in the amount of fund balance that exceeds the TEA optimum. And so this next slide shows...
That's not post, that's, we have 10 now, we would be net zero essentially, minus a few $100 off.
Yeah, so the 10 is after we end this year. So if we end this year with about a $6.3 million deficit, that would leave us the 10.1 for next year, which is this budget year. And so that would offset, so we would basically land at zero after next year. And so the numbers on the left is kind of how I get to my projected deficit of the current year of $6.3 million to get us to the $10.1 million in excess of what TEA considers optimum fund balance. And so I just want to point out that the on-paper deficit is 13.4, but after contingencies it would be 10.4. And both of these amounts are projected in excess of the fund balance that TEA sets as optimum. And so as we get closer to adopting the budget, we'll want to ensure that we stay in a position where our fund balance exceeds the TEA optimum level. And so we have a couple of options to consider. We could release, so on the right-hand side, you see the fund balances that we have reserved or restricted. And so one of the options would be to release or reserve the amounts that we have for future claims or capital expenditures. We could also transfer back some of the 313 supplemental funds that were transferred to the capital projects funds a couple years ago. And then we could reduce budgeted contingencies, or we could do a combination of any of those three, again, to ensure that our adopted budget does not utilize fund balance reserves that would bring us into a position below the TEA optimum. And so the $5.8 million that we have reserved for future claims and capital equipment can be undesignated by the board, as can the transfer back from capital project funds of $10.6 million. So those numbers are in addition to the 10.1 that I'm projecting that we would have available currently in the unassigned fund balance amount for the board to consider. And so new is the appraisal district and the Brazoria County Tax Office have provided taxing entities with the certificate of 2024 estimated values. Presented here are the estimated values compared to the certified 2023 values. And so on the general fund or the M&O taxable values, they're up 3.58%. And then the debt service or INS taxable values have decreased 1.32%. And the difference, or just a reminder, the difference between the values or the value limitation agreements that we have in place on those 313 agreements. And so there are still outstanding protests or appeals that need to be settled with the appraisal district. So these numbers are estimated numbers based on those preliminary values that are still being protested, and so they're likely to change or will change between now and July when they issue certified values. And so next month I'll have revised revenue projections and the tax rate calculation estimates based on these estimated values, because to this point I have assumed no growth in the M&O values, and so we were only compressing the tax rate based on the state compression, not necessarily local values. So we now have local values that I can use in those estimates to get a revised tax rate projection that will also be adopted in August alongside of the budget. And then on the INS side, the values will be sufficient, so even though they're slightly less, they'll be sufficient to meet the 24-25 debt obligations, and I'll provide that estimate next month as And then also presented on this slide is the comparison between the state reportable categories as well as the new value reported in these same categories. So for single-family residents, you can see that the current count is 20,069. Last year it was 19,981. And then the market value current and then compared to last year and the taxable. I will point out that while the market value in these properties has increased, there is $65 million worth of new value associated with that, and the taxable value is significantly less, $500 million less, and that is directly attributable to the increase in the homestead exemption that was approved last year. And then you can see the other major categories that make up our taxable value estimates. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So if Mr. Howard hadn't protested all his valuable property, then we wouldn't have such a drop.
Right. Most of that increase was my house.
Any questions from the board for Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, I know you don't know the answer to this question, but
Thanks for that vote of confidence.
maybe Bobby does. But all the districts that are going through all this, deficit and they're plundering and wondering like we are. I wonder how many, maybe a Region 4 districts are going to be below the TEA recommended optimum, and what does TEA do about it? Because they can send you a nice letter in the morning and all that, but
Well, if you fall too far, then it could impact your first rating.
Right.
So
Well,
you
yeah.
can be below and not necessarily lose points on your first rating, but at some point, it does impact your first rating. I don't know what TEA will do about it, and I actually have a list. It's not complete, but I have a comparison of some of the Region 4 districts and the fund balance that they have or don't have. So I can share what I have to you, but it's not a complete list.
sounds like that's a bit
But-
location.
That really is some location.
Yeah, so we actually have a Region 4 CFO group, and so we've shared a lot of data across, CFOs, and so I do have some. Those that have populated their data, I do have for a basis of comparison. And some are in really bad shape, and some are, similar to us. We're using reserves to balance the budget, and then, some still have excess fund balance because they're usually fast growth and experiencing a lot of growth that, keeps up with the budget. Yeah, so.
That would be a very interesting report for Region 4 to put together, and so that we can send that out to our elected officials too as well, and hammer them across.
Well, that would be
across the region.
That's data.
Yeah.
And look what's, what's occurring in
That
the
would be
last
good to look at it,
couple
right?
of years, so.
What, the first rating, balance, all that, how does that affect our bond issuance? Does that affect our rates, any of that?
So most of our bond rating is taxable value. So fund balance will come into play if we have multiple years of deficit budgets that we can't sustain. But I have calls every time we have a bond rating meeting, and we talk through the financial position. And so what they're really looking for is sustainability plans.
Talking about the new growth, I read an article in the paper Sunday, I guess. Pulitzer 3 years ago was at 17,000, now they're at 41,000. They almost doubled plus their population.
And those fast growth districts are usually building schools that serve 4,000 high school students and 1,500 elementary students. And so
Trying to get.
I have a few friends that are in that Fulshire area, and they're not they can't keep up with school growth because of tax rate issues, and so they're just temporary campus all over the place. So a couple of our friends have moved out of the district because of that. Can't keep up with it.
So on the IS side, do you anticipate paying off any bonds?
based on those projected values, we'll have collections in excess of what we need to meet the current debt obligations, and so we can further evaluate which bonds we can defease, so we can call those early and continue to capitalize on, saving the taxpayers' interest finalize them, and we'll get them linked in this week's board update for you.
I'm just curious about that.
Yeah.
I need to look
Yeah,
at
we
that.
had
It'd be
about
interesting.
280
That's all.
respond, when I looked at it this morning, so, yeah.
Any other questions from the board?
Interesting.
Any comments, questions from the audience?
I know we have to keep that $1.2 million in there of added expenditure for the, teacher allotment, TIA, but it'd be nice to see it offset on the other side too. So.
No, it is.
It just makes me feel better.
Yeah, I know, I know.
No, it is, right there.
Oh, it is? On the other
So
side?
the fourth line, or the
Okay.
third line down from the revenue items, you
All right, I
see the
missed it.
increase in
All right,
revenue.
okay, good.
Yeah, so I thought, so bottom line,
Yeah.
that 13 million, it really doesn't impact.
Yeah.
So I've already factored that
Okay,
in.
good, good.
It comes in,
All right.
goes out.
It was that summary from last time I'm thinking that.
Yeah, so it's on there.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get more next year.
Yeah. No, I want that number to be as high as we can get it, for sure.
Yeah.
I hope that number's 3 or 4 million.
Well, thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly.
You ma'am. Enjoy shopping with you.
Next item that we have on our report is the Enrich Ed Pathways K-12 Teacher Registered Apprenticeship Program update. Ms. Christy Hirsch.
Good
Thought you
evening.
left.
I'm back. Good evening, Superintendent Massey, President Howard, and board members. In alignment with Board Policy BC Local and Board Goal 5, BIC will recruit, develop, and retain highly effective staff. It is my pleasure to provide a program update for the BIC Teacher Apprenticeship Program, Enrich Pathways, as we conclude our second year of the program. I would like to start by sharing background information regarding the fundamental aspects of registered apprenticeship programs. Registered apprenticeship programs, also known as RAPs, have the opportunity to address employer-driven needs by upskilling and attracting new talent into the profession. Registered apprenticeship programs offer careers that are high growth, high demand, high skills with high wage, and opportunities to earn a family-sustaining wage. Building on equity and access engagement, apprenticeships partner employers and sponsors provide training and development and implement intentional efforts to attract and retain high-quality employees. At Brazos Court ISD, the RAP partnership is a community-based solution that seeks to support sustainable talent pipelines and expand pathways and develop teachers, with a commitment to understand and remove barriers that impact one's ability to successfully enter into the teaching profession. The program offers prospective teachers, including paraprofessionals, career changers, and high school or college students, the chance to work in the classroom and employment while completing their preparation to become a certified teacher. The Registered Apprenticeship Program provides multiple entrances with scaffolded support to enter the teaching profession, or what we also refer to as on-ramps, which are designed to meet people where they are in their college and professional journey. One of the major components of the apprenticeship program requires employers to provide related training and instruction, also known as RTI. In the program at Brazos Court ISD, BIC provides a component of the related instruction and training by way of micro-credentials coupled with on-the-job training. Additionally, the program identifies RTI providers to support the apprentices who are obtaining their degree and certification requirements. BIC is proud to partner with the following organizations to provide related training and instruction to each of our apprentices. Our partners are Brazos Court College, Grand Canyon University, Reach University, Stephen F. Austin State University, and 240 certification. The programs listed support BIC's mission to meet apprentices where they are in their journey to become highly qualified teachers. Each partner has different offerings that support both BIC and the apprentice during this journey. Some of these offerings include community-based programs, modularized curriculum, tuition-related benefits, rich transfer credit policies, apprenticeship-based degrees that value current working experience for college credit, and traditional educator preparation programs. As previously shared, the program has identified 4 specific entry points or on-ramps. These on-ramps are designated cohort apprentices to create communities within the program and support their RTI and on-the-job training. Additionally, the on-ramps provide the opportunity to forecast talent that will be exiting the program to meet and support the district's hiring demands and specific needs for certification. On this slide, you will see the current on-ramp placement of BISD apprentices. The district currently has a total of 97 active apprentices in the program. 19 apprentices are in on-ramp 1, 22 apprentices are in on-ramp 2, 20 apprentices in on-ramp 3, and 36 apprentices in on-ramp 4. The program exit date shown reflects standard cohort progression. However, there is some level of variation as apprentices have the ability to enter an on-ramp at semester. Our goal is to get them to certification, degree completion and certification as quickly as possible. And so that could adjust, their progress based on the program exit dates as shown. So there's a little bit of variability in the dates. But as you can see in the 4 boxes shown, the idea behind the on-ramp also allows us to see who's transitioning to the next on-ramp and then who will be entering, in our talent pool to fill vacant teaching positions in the future. This is a big slide with lots of numbers. But this slide is a recap of our program, some specific to 1 year and some for the total 2 years. Bradford ISD has served 117 apprentices, which includes our 22-23 program completers. We currently have 97 active apprentices serving in various roles throughout the district. Some of the roles include instructional aides, special education, life skills, preferred substitute, warehouse employees, and many more. At the end of 23-24 school year, Bradford ISD will have 54 completers, with 34 of them exiting this year or have already exited the program in December and are actively interviewing or have secured positions for the 24-25 school year. The program retention rate, which tracks voluntary turnover within the program, is 95% since its inception. Registered apprenticeship programs are designed to upskill and provide industry-related training to create a talent pipeline. In the 23-24 year, Bradford ISD apprentices have totaled over 600 measurable skill gains. These metrics are closely tracked by our partners in the Texas Workforce Commission, with many of these gains directly connected to the Federal Workforce Opportunity and Innovation Act, or WIOA, which is what we access for additional funding for our eligible apprentices. Of the 608 measurable skill gains, 50 skill gains are a result of our apprentices meeting the requirements for their educational aid certificate. 22 are as a result of our candidates meeting all of the requirements for certification this year so far, with many more coming in on a daily basis as we conclude this year. And the remaining 536 are earned through successful completion of micro-credentials and which are competency-based requirements of the program. These skill gains are a direct reflection of the apprenticeship team at Bradford ISD. Andrea Dixon here with me tonight, as well as our success coaches, Jeannie Lundquist and Ms. Jennifer Farmer, who play a huge role working with our apprentices on a monthly basis to obtain these skill gains to help them in their job today, but then also as a teacher in the future. Now to talk a little bit about the money. Program revenues for 23-24 year are approximately $1.3 million. This funding is a result of funds from the Department of Labor grant to support tuition and wraparound services, our expanding apprenticeship grant to support tuition and training, and the remaining funds are WIOA, which is the Workforce Opportunity Innovation Act, which support tuition and training related expenses, as well as wage reimbursement for our eligible apprentices. The program requires partnership internally and externally to efficiently braid resources to ensure we have the ability to support all areas of the program. Bradford ISD continues to focus on low-cost, no-cost pathways for apprentices and program sustainability, which is possible through our efforts to braid these resources and strategically place apprentices in locally funded positions without any increase to the local budget. The program has been awarded approximately $3.5 million in grant-related funds, which include the DOL grant at $1.5 million, which is a 5-year grant, the philanthropic grant of $1.9 million from the Houston Endowment, which originally started as a 2-year grant. However, I'm pleased to provide that the grant from the Houston Endowment has been extended for a 3rd year to allow us to push out those remaining funds to continue to Another program measurement for registered apprenticeship programs is apprentice demographics, highlighting the ability to recruit from within our communities that serve our schools, along with the program's ability to remove barriers our apprentices meet their certification and degree requirements. The diversity in terms of the apprenticeship demographics is 51%. This is an important metric concerning economic mobility and the data that reflects for every family member within a community and in their own family that completes a registered apprenticeship program, the next 2 generations in their very own family is lifted above poverty level and into the middle class. And this is data that comes to us from the Texas Workforce Commission. And additionally, in terms of our apprenticeship diversity, our student population is approximately 70% in terms of diversity, and our teacher population is 35% currently, approximately. So this absolutely shows that apprenticeship programs have the ability to recruit from within those communities, and those demographics can start to reflect the students of those schools. The apprenticeship program has an exciting future as we continue to grow and develop our pipeline of high-quality teachers. I want to take a moment to highlight next steps that are on the horizon for the Enriched Pathways program. We're actively recruiting for on-ramp 3, or cohort 3, but in all on-ramps. We are working on reporting and data metrics that are being captured for program and grant compliance, both to our philanthropic funders, to the Department of Labor for grants, and for the registered apprenticeship program itself. We're finalizing 23-24 placements and assignments for our residents who are currently in on-ramp 4, and we are looking forward to the launch of cohort 3 in 24-25 school year. That being said, we also have an apprenticeship celebration tomorrow afternoon at Freeport's River Place Event Center to celebrate the conclusion of year 2 of the program and to recognize our 5 high school seniors and their families who will be joining us to sign their offer letters and apprenticeship program letters for joining the program next year. This is for a report only, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Just remind me, Christy, how many were in the first cohort?
We started with 63. Our original hire was 63. Yes, Andrea? That's a big number.
Yeah. Well, what do we thought? We thought 45,
Yeah.
Thought about 35 maybe?
35 at the beginning, yeah.
So we're gonna, I thought I saw 36, but you said 34 that will be coming into, this year?
Right, so we've
They're
already
interviewing
exited some folks in December who are already placed. It's 12 that exited in December, and then we'll have additional. But there are some individuals who will actually stay in that on-ramp for 1 more semester and exit the program next December.
Okay.
So there's a level of overlap in there
So we have 12 that are hired,
that were placed in December.
that are now working full-time, and we're up to 34 potentially to fill in. So how many,
I think we have 11 more to place.
also some of them have been placed?
Yes.
Okay. So we have, how many did we apply, how many applications do we have this year for next year's cohort?
I think we're sitting at close to maybe 60 applications so far, and the deadline will be at the end of the 26th.
Oh, okay, so it's not over yet.
It's
And
not
then-
over yet.
And then interviews start, is that how it works?
Yes, sir.
Um,
We're really targeting current employees. We've had many of employees who have joined the school district, either in preferred substitute roles, as substitutes or paraprofessionals, just hoping to start with the district early and to give them a level of priority into the program.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
So you listed the colleges, and some of them are online, and Bradford and Stephen F. Austin. Are we looking to do any more, like Prairie View A&M or Texas Kingsville, or?
Always.
Okay.
Always. If we can find programs that have, definitely the fiscal support, online programming that can support teacher certification, their degree completion,
Well,
absolutely.
is Stephen F. Austin online also? I mean, or?
Yes.
HC level?
They do have online pathways, and then they also have, is it Purple Pride? Purple Promise, that actually offers full ride tuition for 4 years for individuals right out of high school. And their program is online.
the four-year teacher certification piece taken care of yet, right?
No, and they don't plan to either. So the community colleges can only have 5 named bachelor degree programs, so that they do not have that program. They have the organizational leadership program that we're able to couple with their education-based elective, if that's what the apprentice chooses to do.
So you said we have 95% retention. Do we know why the other 5%? I mean, just life, or they're not making it in the program?
So there's both.
Do we have an
But
exit?
there's definitely some exits that are, brought upon by conversation within, the program leaders regarding performance, perhaps grades. They're not making their grades at the university and they can't eventually get admitted into the EPP. That could be troublesome. We also have individuals who have moved for their spouse, or perhaps a specific job we did not have available in a specific niche at that time. So there's a myriad of reasons, but all situations in the voluntary resignations that are really supported, and then minus any of the involuntary that we're having to manage over time, but with lots of opportunities to ensure they have the ability to get on the right track.
It's been such a short amount of time, I'm surprised. I mean, I know life happens, so I'm just curious.
I sent a note to Jennifer about this notation on teaching certificates for some of the fitness program, and she gave me a bunch of this acronym stuff, that, we didn't qualify, but my question would be, is that something that maybe we would pursue through legislation to see, is there an advantage to have, that notation, about apprentice, of course, they're gonna come to work for us, but, still, when I co-opted, that was a big plus when I got hired, so.
Yeah.
The fact that I had done that, so, it's great that the TIA is gonna, be noted on the teacher certificates. I think that's great. That's what got me thinking about the notation on the teaching certificate. If it's worth pursuing, we could, make a couple of visits to see if it's worthwhile.
We'll definitely be advocating in that space. The residency declaration on the stipend right now is specifically tied to T-Class 5, which is funding from the state for a year-long residency from like a traditional university. So it's very limited in terms of the numbers that are available. School districts around the state have been applying for these funds, and they have not had their spots filled because of the number of residents that are in those university programming to exit to come do their residency. So there's definitely, we have to also do the work for expanding the talent pipeline, bringing new people to the profession, but definitely high hopes of legislative action that starts to recognize the work of apprenticeship programs and that experience as well.
Any other comments, questions? Still very exciting. Yes, ma'am.
Of the percentage of apprenticeship students, if you will, who complete and receive their teacher certification, what is the percentage rate of hiring them into a teacher position versus a para or instructional aid position? Is that 100% guaranteed after their completion of all ramps?
So when they exit the program, our goal is to place them in any of our vacant roles for teaching spots. We really strategically hire them to ensure that those are the certification areas that we would need to be filling, right? So think about undersecondary math, science, special education, where we see those in really high demand. So our goal is to place every one of them
decided that they wanted to leave because that wasn't supporting their family, would they be held to paying back any?
No, but to date, we haven't placed anybody in a paraprofessional role when they've exited the program. We've always been able to place them in a teaching position at the higher salary. Yes, absolutely.
That's our goal.
Well, it's a critical shortage, that's why. Yeah, it's a solution to our critical shortage need. Yeah, we have, so we plan on placing them all in teacher positions because that's where our need is, yeah.
I assume, since they're in the program for multiple years within the district, also that we're working them towards a position that they would be fit for. We know where they are successful, we know where we have a need, and I assume we're doing that throughout the 2 or 3 year period.
Andrea is actually the master of all of that, and will actually have them entertain ideas of moving to a campus and grade level that maybe they never thought that they would, because maybe the apprenticeship team sees something in them that would complement that grade level or content. So through the program, they have the opportunity to even move individuals around to try to find that best fit in preparation of their residency, then ultimately when they are certified teachers.
The goal is to find teachers first, and also successful teachers in positions that they can be successful at too.
Absolutely.
It's our best interest and their best interest.
Absolutely. Mutually beneficial, for sure.
Well, we want them to be happy. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not gonna do as well if they're not.
Yes.
All right, I'm still excited about it.
Okay.
Any other comments? All right, thank you, Ms. Kelly. I'm sorry, Ms. Person.
That's okay. I'll take some of the credit.
I'll assume that.
You've been gone so long, I forgot.
I know.
My bad. Next item that we have on our agenda, board president gets to call out all of our trustees and their training hours.
Get that bus out.
Is there anyone in the audience that's going to help us with our training hours?
Maddie might.
We're on the back row.
Under the State Board of Education rule, which what did we start this 4 years ago, so we have to announce completing required continuing education each year of service is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member. As board president, I'm required to announce the name of each member who has completed the required continuing education, has exceeded the required continuing education, and or is deficient in the meeting their required continuing education. The requirements for training are measured as of the first anniversary of the date of the trustee's election or appointment, or the 2-year anniversary of his or her previous training as applicable. There are 8 training areas: local district orientation, orientation to the Texas Education Code, post-legislative update to the Education Code, team building, additional continuing education, evaluating student academic performance and setting goals, 7, identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, or other maltreatment of children, and 8, school safety. To the extent applicable to each board member, I will announce the completion or deficiency as to the required training. For members who still have time remaining to complete the required training, I will announce those board members who have scheduled timely training and those who have not yet scheduled the training. At the conclusion of this announcement, I will announce any board members training in excess of the continuing education requirements. It wasn't quite this complicated the first time.
We get a start letter.
Is there an increase in the stipend for us if there's, we're above the number of hours?
That would be nice. You're gonna get double what you got last year. There were no new board members, and current board members were not required to complete local district orientation training, orientation to the Texas Education Code training, or the post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code training for the time period covered by this announcement. The following board members have completed post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code training: Reinhardt, Patty Sayes, Liz Cuellar, and Chris Dunn. The following board members were not required but completed post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code training. Mr. Atkins and myself, Mr. Howard. The following board members have not completed the annual team building training but are scheduled to do so this evening.
I thought it was canceled. Wasn't it canceled?
I'm sure.
Mr. Howard, Scott Swanson, Mr. Atkins, Mr. Reinhardt, Ms. Cuellar, Ms. Sayes, and Mr. Dunn, pretty much all of us. The following board members have completed the additional 5 hours of continuing education requirements. Mr. Howard, Mr. Atkins, Mr. Reinhardt, Ms. Sayes, and Ms. Cuellar. And Mr. Dunn. The following member has scheduled training to timely complete the additional continuing education requirements, Mr. Schwartner. All board members met the required hours and have completed the biennial training on evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. The following board members met the required hours on identifying and reporting abuse or trafficking. Mason Howard, Scott Schwartner, Joe Reinhardt, Liz Cuellar, Patty Sayes, and Chris Dunn. The following board member has scheduled training to timely complete the required training on identifying and reporting abuse and trafficking, Mr. Atkins. All board members completed the training on school safety, and the following board members exceeded the required amounts of continuing education training. Board member Mason Howard exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 14 hours. Board member Jerry Atkins, the overachiever, exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 34 additional hours.
Can you throw one of those?
Board member Joe Reinhardt exceeded the required amount of continuing education by 9 hours, and board member Liz Cuellar exceeded the required amount by 11 additional hours. And that is our report for the year. There you have it. Last item that we have, or the next item that we have on our agenda, are board committee reports. Do any of our board members have any committee reports that they would like to share?
Yes. I would like to thank Rachel Arthur and Coach Davis for putting on the BISD elementary track meet. Got this pretty shirt.
Right.
And also the Rotary Club for sponsoring. They did a good job. The kids had fun. It was only the elementary, so hopefully they're going to expand it next year to get it back up to where it was, several years ago. Congratulate the Lady Bucks on their playoff run, softball. And I've been asked to do the Region 4 Superintendent of the Year selection, so I'll do that. That's always an interesting time. So I'm looking forward.
Can you write in the name?
Huh?
Can you write in the name?
I'm working on that. But right now there's 7, which that's a long day. But, so that's enough.
All right. Any other reports from the board?
I got a box of cookies. Am I the only one?
Yeah.
It's cake.
All right.
That's my report. I don't know. Y'all didn't get one? I was trying to figure out if y'all got one last
Better check.
You must be special.
We'll have to share them both. We don't know what it is.
All right. No complaints over here.
Okay.
The next item that we have is our next regular scheduled board meeting will be June 17th, 2024. We have executive session. Executive session may be called for the purposes permitted by the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Sections 551.071 through 551.146. Section 551.071 is consultation with attorney. Section 551.071 on any agenda item. Section 551.72 for the purpose of discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Section 551.074 personnel matters, appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, dismissal, or complaint. Sections 551.082 for the purpose of considering discipline of a public school, child or complaint or charge against personnel. And the last one, board team building and training, will return. And 10 o'clock, we return from executive